Yeah, first and foremost, I want to say I'm so sorry to the victims. We've been fighting this for a very, very long time. 2001, we're going to keep reminding everybody that this clan of clowns has been around long before Jeffrey Epstein, actually. Their false narrative to this story is flipping me out. It's flipping me out. We have to keep in mind that some of these victims are also younger than myself, and they didn't know. I'm almost positive they didn't know these guys that were coming in had their own pedophile rings going on. I mean, I'm sure they do now. I hope, but maybe they don't. We always assume people know things and they don't yet. Branson, Richard, has a connection to our pedophile side over here with another camp. And it's flipping me out. It's flipping me out. Mick Jagger has been outed for a bazillion years, but the public was into pedophilia and totally gave him a pat on the back and literally wanted to be him. He has his own established ring of bullshit. He's not revolving around Epstein. Sorry. If anything, what's going on? I was even thinking about it last night when I was going off on my rant. In no way, shape, or form would the pedophile camps that I'm dealing with would call Jeffrey Epstein for help. It would be in the reversal. That Epstein would be like, how did you get the public to totally glorify your pedo asses and not even care? And I was looking at the other guys. I go, yeah, no. Those guys have their own rings and government promoted it and helped them out and they put them on pedestals. The narrative that they're trying to pass off here is that Jeffrey Epstein is king of the universe and everybody got manipulated and he just started, besides the victims, I'm not talking about the victims, we're talking about the participants, where they're talking about, oh, you know, they didn't have any idea. They got manipulated and blackmailed and all this stuff, and they're innocent human beings. Hell freaking no. And I have gone through this stuff for about 20 some odd years, right? So it started off on the pedophile camp that we were dealing with because they wanted a kid to touch and rape and whatever. And then I find out later, this is the later thing. Oh, they were part of a human trafficking ring of children and the boss. And this is why there's no reaction, right? Because a sane human being that's not into raping kids and women, finding this out about their employee would then do some action, right? Well, people were flinging at me that, oh God, that guy's a pedophile, the boss. And I was like, what? Yeah, it was news to me because I'm young. I'm young, and these older women are a bunch of pimps. Okay, so these older women are pimps. They're just pimps. And, you know, causation to that stuff is just indoctrination. It's Christian indoctrinated. There's a lot of things in it. I keep pulling out the religion because also keep in mind, this camp of clowns is outright saying they're conservative Christian. And they have very right-wing type standard. I was like, oh, so getting children is definitely part of right-wing conservative Christian values, because is this family values? Well, I had a family, you know what I mean? So I'm somebody else's kid. And they promoted the worst shit on me ever. They were making threats. They were trying to blackmail me. They were doing intimidation. And I do want to clarify something because actually I didn't really clarify this thing well. I have zero connection to their management. They know who I am. Okay. So the management knows I'm around, right? It's like that. They weren't allowed to talk to me. I'm part of Alice's private inner circle. So what that means is he has an employee that he hired himself. His employee brought me into their circle. His employee said, do not talk to those people, which is the management. Now, the management is a separate entity that manages his artistic career. You know, all those things. They manage him, whatever. I don't even care because I don't even deal with them. And to even when I'm in this thing, I don't really realize this inner dynamic. And in fact, it was one of the perpetrators, little goons that came after me, clarified that. And I was like, oh, he's not part of the management. Because I didn't even know that. I thought he was part of the management as well, because they're trying to manage me. They're doing this whole thing. And I was like, ugh. And then it makes sense because at no time, here's the only line that I ever spoke to his management. When they pulled me backstage, they go, who's that man? And I go, oh, that's my ex. We're not together. These are the only lines that were ever spoke to their management in 10 years. I was not allowed to talk to them, but he was getting mad because the lawyer was trying to push me to his management. And a reason why that would be in conflict, besides them being a pedo and trying to hide the whole thing, he feels like he discovered me. So I'm his you know what I mean? You guys know all about that. If somebody discovers an artist, they feel they own them and they don't want anybody to take them. Okay. So there was this thing going on. And that was it. And for them, I don't know what they're saying in the background. They had blackmail. They were trying to... See, to me, my perception of things is totally different because I know it's blackmail and that's what they were trying to do. So you see all these stories of these people doing it and doing intimidations and all that. I never take threats seriously and I never take blackmail even seriously, and I always tell them to F off. So to me, like, the impact of it somehow got minimized. And it could just be because I'm so, I don't know, like I just push it aside. But yeah, they were they're like, you remember this? And they did it in the public arena. So it wasn't even in private, out of sight. They came in and they're like, you remember this thing? Yeah, they started doing that. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, we should probably talk about that. You know, let's talk about that. So I didn't give it power. And so when we're talking about that stuff, it's just like, oh, yeah, I guess they did. Yeah, they did. And I just didn't give it any power. Yeah. I disempowered it. They were basically what they're trying to do. If you keep talking, we're going to throw out private information about you. And they did. So they doxed my name. They were making very off-kilter comments, trying to call me a prosty, and I did sexual conduct with people, which I didn't. And that happened to be part of a case where they gave me money for it. But I go, but you guys, how did they know where I worked? They out themselves about 1,000,000 times a day. Anyway, it wasn't in question that they didn't know me at that time. But today, as they're going on, it's like, yeah, how did they know my work? That's interesting. That's very intimate, right? And they had no problem with my job. They were actually going to come into my job. That's why they knew that. They asked me what the address was and where it was at. And they were going to come this one night. And then he was having a moment. There was like this whole thing to it. But anyway, yeah, that's how they knew that. And then they flung it at me like I don't know, like all these things, no matter what happened after the fact of this story. Let's say I started getting into drugs and selling drugs, or started hooking on the street, or any criminal conduct. If I went out on a murder spree, it doesn't even, or married him, whatever, any variation of any horrible, atrocious thing that happens after the fact does not change the fact they're pedophiles and they got a child. It doesn't change a damn effing thing. And in this Epstein case, they threw out that Copperfield case, and it made no sense why they would ever do that, regardless of the fact of what happened in the other portion of her case. There's no reason under the sun why they stopped investigating. The reason why they did is because of their inner ties with government, and government had no incentive of trying to bust David Copperfield. They were trying to bust the women. So throughout this whole charade of bullshit on the Epstein thing, government was actually trying to target the victims. They weren't actually investigating these guys because most of these guys have been out in the open pedophiles. In the open. pedophiles, everybody. And they made these laws around them to protect their house. So Epstein is a weird thing in this because while this is a real thing and harmed real people, to paint him as some king honcho of the universe and everybody's like just victims around him is absolutely false. And he's not that old. The other men that have been doing this, they have been running, I mean, I don't want to say rings, but they're outright pedophiles that rape women and children all the time. And they make the media, and then the media is like, it's totally cool, rock on, dude, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's actually rape, drugs, and sociopaths. But yeah, that has been going on. But I'm a kid, I didn't know, and I guarantee you the girls in here didn't know all these men to begin with, right? At the very beginning, you're like, who's this dude? And then here's this Richard Branson dude, Branson or whatever his name is. So he has the relationship to this other pedophile group of people. And government's over here going, they did no wrong. They did no wrong. And I'm like, well, the other guy did that he's connected to for sure. And he obviously is fine with that stuff. Because that's not just Jeffrey Epstein he's fine with it. He's fine with it with the Alice side. And I go, yeah, well, that tells you a lot about him. And he tries to say that he's one of those atheists. He's that atheist that was, Christian indoctrinated. I'm an atheist now. The hypocrite one. And then he believes in male supremacy. And then he comes out. He's like, I believe in human kindness. I'm like, I choked over here, man. I was like, this is that one dude. Oh my God. So do you guys think that it's love and kindness to do this shit to me? And did you read what they said to me? The awful, evil, vile shit. They kept sending me, they called me a bitch. This other guy called me a bitch. And then he goes and he does this video with Alice. I go, that's his people. But his inner people that used their address wrote the most atrocious thing, and they were bullying me by the direction of their team. And I was like, wow, that is something else. So then the boss, the one he's connected to, Richard, is over here in the media like, I'm a good Christian, dude. I'm a conservative Christian, and I'm a dick. And then he's like, I think he voted for Trump because he's scared to death. He's like, because that side is so woke. I go, so you are kissing Trump's ass now because you're scared to death. Because now, see, in 2001, everybody was fine with the pedophile. But today, they're like, Epstein, I don't know, like they're acting clueless or something that they were not promoting it before. But this guy is scared. Trust he's scared because the general population now is like, what the F? We have a newer generation coming in. So it's like me, I'm already in the generation of what the F versus the older Gen X and the baby boomers and beyond who are down with pedophilia. So our generation that's mixed with millennial, like right there, were the ones that are like, oh God, this is disgusting. And then the younger generation, from that point on is not down with this stuff. Like the more and more they're coming up, they're more educated. They're more on top of things. So now this old fart that's like 70 some odd years old is like, oh, they're not into my crap anymore. I can't get away with this anymore. Oh, woke? What? Wait. So victims coming out is called woke? Well, let me tell you this. No matter how old you are now, you're still a goddamn pedo. You don't change from being a pedo from being younger to fucking now. So the problem with the case was once you find out about your employee getting a child, you have a duty to report that. The boss. So the boss is the celebrity. It's not the management. It's the celebrity. So my dealings is in the private circle with everybody in here because the management knew. So they're also accountable because they knew, they saw me. They have to be like, okay, we have to see what's going on up in here because they're the management. but I don't deal with the management. Okay, so I don't have any personal dealing. My dealings is directly with the celebrity through this employee. Okay? So I have to lay that out. I mean, when you're looking at legal stuff, when you go, oh, who do we go after? You know what I mean? It's like that thing is laid out. But yeah, their team actually helped me with that too, because I wasn't even aware that it was even a separate entity, but it made sense why I didn't deal with the management. And yeah, that's how much of a kid, and I didn't know anything. It's so disgusting, the whole thing, because they're pedos. And then they go on this big cover-up spree, and I go, oh wow, it took a lot of people to do this, because it wasn't just like this little group of people. It was the entire freaking universe. You're talking the entire government. You're talking media. You're talking all these people that they gave money to charities, and they let them around children with charities, and they're covering up a child sex crime over here. You guys. And another addition is they let that guy touch their toddlers. I have to put that out here because I kept trying to talk to FBI or anybody about this. And they allowed that pedophile guy to touch their toddlers. And they told me. And I was like, excuse me? And a very specific one. And I was like, oh yeah, their parents do put them at risk. They do, and they don't give a shit. They let some strange guy touch their kids. That's amazing. That was interesting. I go, no, they do actually get their kids raped. They do. They allow their kids to get sexually abused from some other men. And that's insane. I couldn't even believe this even happened, because I'm like, what? Wait. Well, I was thinking in my mind, like, why is he bragging about this, and why is he telling me that? And it was like, alarm. Would you guys not be alarmed? I hope you guys would be alarmed. Like, he's even bringing up some bullshit of being that intimate with one of their kids. And I'm like, no. It was that moment where it's like not self-centered anymore. You know, it's like not just you are the victim. It was like, oh my God, somebody else. Wait, they let them around their kid? Yeah, I was like, no way. And so then I was trying to tell the lawyer, and then he brushed it off like it was totally ain't no thing, because we all do that up in here. Basically, yeah. And as you see, it's true, right? It's true, right? Nothing was a lie, and their reactions are, oh, it's totally normal. Anyway, and la 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 la. And I'm like, holy shit. Why is he going on like that? Well, then we find out about him and his past with this group of other people, and they had a child human trafficking ring. However, with that, the public glorifies it, right? You're glorifying these guys on this end being with children, and then they go and hang out with Jeffrey, and Jeffrey's just like, you guys are cool as shit. You know, can you tell me some advice? Because you guys are out in the open, and then you got arrested, so, you know what I mean? Come up in my house. It's not Jeffrey manipulating any of them. So that's the actual real framing of it. Just because somebody calls you a liar does not mean that you don't have knowledge that these are pedophiles. That's your own damn problem. But that's the point of the matter, is like, it was always there. They were always into children. The public promoted it, and they promote it every day, and they act like they don't, and they forget that they just call people liars and dismiss it and are okay with it. Because even when you bring it up, they're like, no, you're supposed to expect Mick Jagger to be raping kids. What sick shit is that? Okay, so Woody Allen. Do you think that Woody Allen is being manipulated and being controlled by Epstein? Please, give me a break. Give me a fucking break on that thing. Then, Richard Branson, no, he's fine because he's with the Alice thing. So no, he can't even hold that. He can't sit there and go, I had no idea and it really bothers me. No, he's full of shit too. So there's no such thing as a good billionaire. None whatsoever, okay? And then, and Trump totally knew. But anyway, but he doesn't have, from my knowledge, I mean, I don't know what the hell happened up in here. But the media asked our child perpetrators over here, the ones that are covering up and being with kids from the past and everything else, asked them about Trump. And I'm like, no, I'm the out and proud victim over here, okay? And what the hell? And the media muted me. So there's knowledge. There is people purposely muting down the victims. There is everything going on in here. So much. And the shit that these government men were talking to me, like the whole story right now is causing me to have a major blowout. Because I have so much information, like so much information. And the conduct behind closed doors. And they threw me in a gutter. They threw me in the gutter knowing I'm a goddamn survivor. And not from just one man, from dozens. And if we count the other human trafficking ring, I got sexually assaulted over 4,000 times. That is not an exaggeration. I still feel it's an undercount. But about 4,000 times in this other ring. That ring is tied to also very rich businessmen. So I reported it, and then I got a payout, but they hid the whole human trafficking part. So they pay me for, quote unquote, lunches. I go, oh no, we got to cover up in here again from LA County. So LA County was licensing men to human traffic girls, and they knew it. And then to not pay them, and the gang members, not the sheriffs, but the sheriffs, yes, they were involved in that too. But LAPD, the pimps in LAPD that haven't been busted yet, were promoting not to pay the girls unless they had sex with these men. That was the down low of that comment, by the way, media. But media puts it out here. And I go, even the comment to not pay them is against the law. So that was the meaning behind that. The picture of Trump disappearing and coming back is stupid. I don't even understand. The one thing that's funny on it, the Pope with these guys. And I'm like, yeah, because the Catholics promote being with the child. You know, Mother Mary 12. You're supposed to rape a kid. God's supposed to rape a child, right? And then pop out a baby. Wouldn't that fit perfectly with all the pedos? Hell yeah, it does. That's why there's so many pedos. Like the common sense to this thing now. It's like, wow, pull out your Bible. Let's all sit down together and see where the pedophilia is. I could show you where the grooming is and where they actually promoted it on women. Women are groomed, indoctrinated. The men are also groomed, indoctrinated, but they're promoted to go get a child. Like basically select a kid, but you're supposed to get married. You're not supposed to be having a harem. But in the Jewish portion, I think it's the same thing. Isn't it? Where you're still married to one. I don't think they have any harem thing. I don't know. You know what? I would have to go through this thing. But anyway, most of these do not have the harem thing. But the harem thing is in the Mormon shoot off. Okay, so there's that. I would have to go through the other religions again to see who has all the harem things. Okay, where the stem off of the harem thing comes in. But it comes out of somewhere, out of some of these things. But just the mentality alone, guys, the mentality alone is literally there. So even if it's not even there, it's like where the mentality will take you to. Because narcissism is very key in these things. I'm tired of people using mental health stuff as the reason why they do these horrible things. Besides the fact that they're narcissists. But I mean, saying, oh, I had this other I did some drugs, so therefore I did this thing. It's being used, oh God, I don't even want to talk about the Reiner case because there's a lot in that, but it was a thought out thing. So it's something from, long past history. It wasn't out of any delusional thing. They had major issues, whatever, but I think they're going to try to do defense of the guy was schizophrenic at the time, blah, 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 blah. So whatever they're going to do, that's her defense. I think that's what they're going to try to do as the defense. And no, they've had inner conflict. So it's actually a real thing where they're going head to head for a long time. Like he may also, in addition, but that doesn't, I should point this out. Just because somebody may be considered schizophrenic doesn't mean the crime that they commit is because of schizophrenia. Put it like that. Okay. Yeah, can you believe that? So then you could just blame it all on your schizophrenia. Even though, no, there's many times where they're not acting, they are not in any delusional state, they're not doing anything like that. It's very thought out and they do something. It just depends on case per case. It's not very black and white. It could get difficult because you don't know the mindset that they're in at the time. So, but if they do something really out of this world, that's not like they never got, like, let's say they got along the whole time, and then all of a sudden they do some weird thing. Yeah, I mean, you could argue it there. My drugs made me a child rapist. No, that's not a thing, guys. So they were trying to do that too, and I go, no, that's not a thing. It doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. You're either, they have a reason why they're attracted to kids. It's something that needs to be put in the forefront, and it's not something that goes away either. It's like, you're gay, right? Did you choose that? I mean, it happens, right? So when you have an attraction to kids, or you target kids, it doesn't even need to be attracted to kids. You are targeting children because they're easy prey. I think there is some differentiating things in the mentality with some of these guys to others, but there's still always a level of narcissism where it's self-centered, where they don't care about harming other people. So, but it doesn't go away. It's not something that's like, oh, I'm like 50 years old now and I got over it. It's like, what? No. They're always going to have this attraction to doing certain conduct like that. So, no. And I hate how they talk about it like it was a fad, like we're Toys R Us for God, and they can come in here and just select a kid at any time and then go rape them. And they're like, well, it used to be okay. It's like, no, it actually never was okay. But, let's talk about grooming. Let's talk about grooming. So if you want to blackmail grooming, it shows what a narcissist psychopath you are. I mean, that is disgusting. They were trying to do that to me, and I hadn't even gotten into therapy yet. So basically, I did like a therapy session with myself, going into this explanation of like, wow, my mindset when this was happening. It's like a total groom, and it's so weird how like something's wrong, but then I don't know. It was a weird thing. I was actually going through the real story about it. Like, there's no lies. We weren't hiding anything. And I'm feeling that I have to explain it to the public because they're going to start to weaponize it. And you've seen their team weaponize. You've seen these people with that group weaponize a lot of information on another case. And I was trying to explain this to people. You have to be aware of that. And no matter what you think, it'll seem totally believable, but they will manipulate your mind. And they have been doing this forever. So they get kids, they manipulate them. And then one of the things is, if you go into the universe of these predators, keep in mind, the minute that you get into their universe, they are keeping blackmail on you. And this is something I didn't even think about when I was a kid. I don't know shit about nothing. But their MO is to groom you first and then collect all the data, all the information about you or anything you wrote, anything like that. And they hold on to it because what they're doing is illegal. So they're mass criminals. They have a very criminal mind, and it's pre-plotted out before you walk into their door. So when you try to leave it and tell on them, they start dangling this blackmail on you so you don't leave. And that's what they were trying to do to me. They're like, if you keep talking, oh, guess what? Do you remember this thing? So that's a form of blackmail and intimidation. So we don't come forward and tell on them. It's very calculated. You're the ignorant one inside their thing. So I was the ignorant one, like I don't know anything. And I come in and they're collecting all the shit on me. And I didn't even know they were doing this. And I'm like, what the hell? I go, the only stuff that I have is just proof that I had this relationship with them, because we're not plotting out doing something illegal to somebody. So you see the guilty parties are the ones that go, look what I have. Dangle, 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 dangle. Like doing this shit. Yeah, they did it in the public, you guys. And I was like, what in the earth? I don't even know that guy. I hate that story though, because it was like one day, it's like I was going, don't do it. Like I was telling myself, don't do it. But I was so groomed. I was so groomed and confused, and they were fucking with my head. Like years later, this is years later. It wasn't at the get-go when they got me a kid. And that's also a diversion. So the diversion tactic, and you have to be very careful of this. Anytime their camps start doing this to any child victim, any victim out here, they start diverting your emotion and thought to something like years later after the fact of the matter of the case, right? So if you say you got raped in like the year 2000, they start pulling out, oh, in 2004, you were, I don't know, let's say you're a sex worker, okay? They're like, you were out and you got arrested for being a prostitute. And it's like, so? It really is a so. And they'll do something like that. And this is an extreme example, but it's not uncommon because when you look at the Copperfield case that happened, right? Well, the Christians are trying to get us raped and pimped out to pedophiles by targeting women who do that, okay? And they may be doing it for a different reason. Maybe they were forced into those other things. Maybe because they're causing them distress in their life. There's a lot of things going on here. So, but at no time should FBI have dropped that case on David Copperfield. So, I knew there was something wrong with it, and it felt shady as hell. And it showed that they called each other, and during a time actually when the other team, the Branson pals over there, the Richard people, the ones that are connected to him, they were targeting the hell out of me. And then they were in the area. So I guess Jeffrey came into the area on these dates. And I'm like, what the hell? Like the dates are together kind of. So I was like, I effing don't know. So there's still information I don't know yet, you guys. So as like the victims, all these victims in the Epstein story don't know all the other victims in the story. So we're victims from a extension of somebody in the network, okay? There's going to be other victims that are in extension of the network elsewhere, okay? And all these other victims in the Epstein story probably didn't know what happened to other people in the story as well and what people had done in the background. Well, government is not going to be forthcoming on any freaking level. They're piles of crap. They were laughing at child rape. That's what happened to me. So I'm letting you guys know, and I started going at this quite a long time ago, but I honestly, you guys, did not know it was this big at the very beginning. I didn't. I thought it was just a situation between me and this PA. And then it turned into, oh, me, PA, the boss. And then it turned into me, the PA, boss, and all their friends. Then it turned into me, PA, the boss, and all their friends, and government. And I was like, holy F. So I knew this. Like, I hit it finally, but I had to go through a lot of digging and going into government and contacting them about a ton of things. Okay, so one of the other big things in this case is law enforcement. So if you cannot file with law enforcement this and they don't do anything, they're a cock blocker. So we had a problem with this. So I was like, yeah. And then, oh, they're gang members. Okay, so I find that out too, okay, in the middle of this. So I go, we have to go at, I had to look at, like, what are the important things? I have to go at the law enforcement because they're targeting the crap out of me. And I have no criminal record. So I'm just like, what is going on here? So we have to go at that. Okay. So I know a lot of things about that, and they covered up crimes and blah, 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 blah. So we have to go at that. And then guess who is blocking that? Eric Holder, Kamala, all the Dem. And they turned it into Black Lives Matter. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I go, yeah, that's important too. Like, I was trying to be like, it's important. I'm not dismissing it. That's important. You could talk about that topic too at the same time as all of this. It was not just people of color. The thing was they are doing major crimes on women, all women, all women. It's not only women of color. I mean, this is awful. Like, for some reason though, and it tainted their perception about law enforcement generally and how they view women, and disregarded all the other crimes on everybody else. And it's like, no, it's together, but that's not the narrative. So I was like, okay, we need to come roll it back here. And it turned into a thing where it was just all about men. It was all about men. It always does this. Like, where it turns into women sacrificing themselves to save some men. I go, this is not what should be going on. None of it. None of it. None of it. Yes. That's how come the Diddy story happened. Because they were trying to protect black men. And then we were supposed to make women of color sacrifice themselves to protect some black men. And they're getting raped up in here and all kinds of crap. And I was like, yeah, you know what? One day, it was like, it took me a bit for this one. I was like, yeah, we need to step in and make sure that we help them come out, because the men are a bunch of gangbangers up in here, like all of them, and that we need to make sure they are safe. You know what I mean? The whole thing about that. So, and then not long after, then the Diddy thing. I was talking about the gay monsters. Okay, so I talk about that, and then the gay monsters, and then all of a sudden it went boom, Diddy, and I go, what? Yeah, I didn't know about the Diddy thing. So the gay monsters. This is not to degrade LGBTQ. The LGBTQ has gay monsters, and they know it, and it's harming their community. So I was like, okay, wait, we got to actually pull it out, because we're aware of it, and they're talking about it. The gay men are talking about them. And I was like, yeah, we need to just fling it out there. Even if they take the title as offensive, it's like the topic is real. And yeah, that was pretty bad. So then we also have the lesbian monster. We should probably hit the lesbian monster one, but actually I don't know. We're gonna end up having more of those types as they gain more power. You'll see they'll pop up more. You'll pick them out more easily when they end up getting a lot more power, where they didn't have a lot of power in the past. But a lot of them, if you give them power, like massive power, they're going to abuse it just like any other man. Okay, just keep that in mind. Not because no, they're not going to just not harm people because they're a woman. These women are getting the best example was yesterday, because I pulled up the Mick Jagger girl, where she's like, oh, I had sex with Mick Jagger and he did nothing wrong. Okay, she's going to be a child predator because why? She doesn't think going at a child is wrong. She promoted the guy to be a pedophile, and she normalized the behavior, and she's going to go at a child. That's actually the combination that gets these child predators as a female. And I go, wow, yeah. So we need to like throw that out here. So she does not get mental health treatment, then she's going to do it to somebody else. And regardless of what a victim says on that thing, they don't matter. I mean, they don't matter in the fact that them saying it seems fine. Okay, that's a person that needs to go to therapy. But they really do, because they can turn into a predator. The perpetrator was always a pedophile. Why wasn't he ever in jail, right? So that's the other question. And then the next thing you see, he's in Epstein's house. I actually have photographs of him from the stolen album from with the mayor of Beverly Hills. Yeah, that bullshit. So I'm going through it again. I don't know if the girl with him is a minor. I believe this photograph that they took made a magazine. It may be in the UK. So they cut it out. Like, it was like, he probably took a photo. He probably sold it to the publication, and then it went into the media. And so it was like going through that. Yes, David Copperfield's in it too, but there's nothing of interest other than he's a drinker. It was interesting because in the pictures, Claudia is not drinking at all, and she's kind of looking off elsewhere. And then he drinks. So the only relevance maybe to that is in some of the stories, if anybody said he drugged him or anything like that. But anyway. So if you try to say, I don't drink, then we could show you he drinks. But that's it. There was nothing else of interest in that. And the Kevin Spacey, yes, is in there a couple times. He was at events and then at charities. Yeah, so that was something he did at that time. Clinton is not in it. I was like, him and Clinton is not in it. No, the only political thing in it was that Reagan thing. And we still have questions on that in our family thing. I don't even want to get into it. So right now, this is all I'm going to say, because I can go on and on. I'm really distressed. I'm distressed by the information because I found more stuff into our stuff, and I have not processed it. I'm flipping out. I'm flipping out. I'm very angry right now. And keep in mind, anybody that is protecting the house that we're in, where I got lured into, is also down with the pedophile shit show. And they've been protecting and covering up and degrading victims and touching each other and letting these guys touch their kids. That's just a fact. It is the craziest thing, but that's what alerted me, you guys. And I came forward, and then everybody was covering it up and let it happen. I go, how disgusting. This is your parents. But I think the kids should know that that happened. Hello. And I need to just bring it forward, because when you're that age, you don't know shit. They would have no recollection of it, guaranteed. And they said they did something and they're bragging about it, and I'm grossed out and I'm flipping out that they even were that way with their kids. And I didn't know what was going on. I just didn't. And I was like, holy shit, holy shit. I don't even think anybody let Michael Jackson go on like that. They let him hang out with the kids, but they didn't do that. I can't imagine it, but who knows? No, because hanging out with the kids is a different event. I would still be alerted on it, but it wouldn't have been to the heightened alert that it was from what they said. Michael Jackson wouldn't tell on anybody. He would see it as totally normal with a bunch of kids in a house. So we all know that, right? But he hung out with pedophiles all the time. He hung out with Nygaard. He hung out with Epstein. He hung out with, who else did he hang out? He hung out with a lot of people. And he was in a room with a bunch of naked little kids. And for him to walk in, and let's say the spa was full of naked kids, he would not react. He would jump in there with them. Hey, kids, I love kids. I love kids. Yeah, he's going to do this. And he's never going to help you. You guys are sick. Thinking my love for children is sick. Yes, unfortunately, Michael Jackson was a very ill man. He was child abused, and even by his brother. Like, the thing about Jermaine is so disgusting, and people keep overlooking this sibling sexual dynamic. And it's wow. And he obviously has allegations and all kinds of crap. And he was the one more closest to Nygaard, I think. Yeah, so files were disappearing. They came back and did all this crap. You guys, it's all manipulated. Even when they put out the story, it's just manipulated. Because the presentation of the story is manipulated. Mostly from the portion of Jeffrey Epstein is king of the universe and everybody floating around him. I'm like, in your dreams. They come over there to get some money. They go back. Eline has no soul, and the PayPal mafia have been targeting me since the get-go. The Peter portion, we could pull out his early days, his mindset, his mentality. He wouldn't even give a you-know-what. There's nobody in here that's a victim that would even care. The truth is they don't care. They sit there and say whatever they want. But they degraded us so much and called us liars and everything else. Peter doesn't like females. So him seeing him with a bunch of females, he's like, those little dirty hoes. That would be him. That's Peter. So he's like, I like a bunch of men. You want to hook up Epstein. It would totally be that. Then it is, he's just this innocent victim that had no freaking idea. He's full of shit. And Epstein already got in trouble prior. So, so Peter Thal, the E-Lines, the PayPal Mafia did not want women to thrive financially. So that's an addition to this story. They wanted male supremacy and white men to have the most money and power. So their goals and their mentality goes there, and they believe that women were supposed to be selected to be their sex slaves. So that's their mentality. So they're not victims. They were not manipulated. That is a very false narrative. And the other guys are way older, so that would be Jeffrey admiring their whole shebangy over there. And in fact, he may have got girls from those pedophiles. Yeah, they may have swapped kids between each other, like in the Nygaard case. Hell yeah. So in the Nygaard case, there's another pedophile, human trafficker. And why is he not arrested? So he's part of the YouTube universe that's totally rigged. Okay, so that dude is totally rigged. He's the guy that Justin Bieber and the Facebook pile of shit, him, all those people had a connection to, and that guy and his name, there was a LAPD officer doing a photo thing with that guy too. And that guy used to hold private parties in the San Fernando Valley here, and there was no age limit at all. And they said, bring your, women in lingerie. Yeah, and so they had these parties up at this house, and they used to go scouting around and whatever. And his dad is disgusting. His father is disgusting, and his father's touching women and doing all this stuff. Like they're talking, and his dad's like a pervert, and he's the one that's like touching all these girls, these young girls, and they're kind of like, yeah, and it's disgusting. So the dad may have also molested that guy as to why he's like that. We don't know, but he's overtly sexual and it's disgusting. He looks like Beverly Hillbillies, like he came out from like Virginia, and yeah, it's disgusting. But none of them got arrested. Can you tell me why? I have no idea. But they bring Justin Bieber up in here. He's like a groomed dude. And he's like on his trip for Jesus, and he's doing drugs. It's like the dude is a hot mess, okay? I wouldn't have done this to this kid. This kid, it's just so much. It's so bad. And it's like years of normalization and very bad sociopathic behaviors by a bunch of people. And then they get dragged into that thing. And then, the mom's like totally like this ignorant, naive, she is. And they probably have animosity. He may have some issues with her because like it comes off as like a non-protector. I don't know. There's some other things going on with that. But anyway, Justin gets pulled into this like universe of these already older a-holes. And they're like human trafficking young girls. But when you're young, you may not react as much because they're like your peers, right? The people are your peers. When you're looking at it from your age, it's just like, oh, there's somebody else like me, blah, blah, blah. It's all, whatever. Isn't it normal? I'm here too, right? It's kind of this weird thing about it. But then when you get older and you start looking back at it, you're going to flip the hell out. And you should. You should have flipped out earlier, but the reason why you didn't is because no one told you. No, they actually manipulated you into thinking this is okay. That's why you didn't react. Okay, so we've been going through all the mental aspects too of this because there's so much. There's so many layers to this thing. Like there's layers to why Jeffrey is the way he was. And then it's all because of cover-up conducts, right? It's cover-up conducts, promotion of conducts. And then they just kind of reenact it, into adulthood. And to my knowledge, it didn't say he did drugs, but everybody else in here did. So he is the type, he's a very, I would think that some of these grandiose narcissist types, maybe even the type that they're so in control, like they have to be so in control of everything, they won't even do drugs, okay? So it could land there. I'm getting spam, you guys. Okay, so I'm going to end right here, and we'll be back when I don't know. I have to sit through this information. It's too much. It's causing me a blowout. And it's because I'm finding out new things and kind of what you think, but then no, there's other people, and it widened the scope of the people preying on me. And no, when I went through the Jeffrey story initially, I didn't think we had any relation to that at all. Oh no, we definitely in the universe. Yeah, through other people. Yeah. So some of the things you guys might see is like in our story here where somebody's related to one of your perpetrators and that person's in this thing talking to them. It's just what it's saying is they all have knowledge and no problem with their universes of going at children. And yeah, they are connected. 1,000. And then government here is on the protection because they're all friends with government. They give money to government. They're all in the shit show. They're not against it. It's just literally don't let people even play this game like they're so outraged. It's fake. It's totally fake, you guys. They're trying to push off like accountability. and to stop it. They don't want you to stop it.